All right, how y'all out there in Corona land? Coming from my kitchen. Y'all, I'm doing pretty good. I bought some vegetables today. Love me some fresh vegetables. Who doesn't love fresh vegetables? And as part of that box that I bought, I actually got quite a few heads here of corn on the cob. So, guess what? There are many uses for corn on the cob, and today I am going to make a phenomenal corn chowder. That's right, because there's nothing better than a corn chowder. It's creamy, it's tasty, you get onion and bacon, so this is going to be a really good meal, so stay tuned. Now, one thing you want to do, you're going to have to peel the corn, of course, off the cob. And as you can see, there's going to be all these silts, which is what this is. And you'll also find it in the corn. If you don't get it just right, it'll be kind of like all within here. So what you want to do is peel your corn off the cob. Now, if you grab, when you're peeling, if you grab this chunk of silt as you're pulling down this corn cob, you will get most of the silts out. Okay, and you'll have a minimal amount of silt still left on the cob that you need to get out. But this is very important because you really don't want to eat this. So the easiest thing to do is to, start to open it. And when you grab this chunk of silt here and just yank down, it's going to pull, as you can see, hopefully you can see, it's going to pull all this silt down with it. And that way you only have a little bit left in your corn that you'll have to pull out. So you can see after we pulled it, there's still a little bit left stuck in the corn. And that's the little sections that you'll want to get out. And you'll want to just check your cob and make sure from top to bottom that you've got all these little silts out so that you don't wind up mixing them in and eating them. Okay, and now I've gone through it. And if you kind of just roll it sideways, and look at it closely, it's like looking for little hairs, stray hairs, and you'll be able to pull them out. So pretty much this is what it'll look like when you're done and all the silts are out. Perfect. Okay, so my corn has been shucked, and this recipe is really simple to make. I know it seems like a lot right at this moment, but it's not. You're going to need chicken broth, heavy whipping cream, some regular milk, potatoes, whatever you have on hand. I just happen to have some red on hand, some green onion or chives, a regular onion, some carrots, and generally people do put celery in there. I do not have celery, so we're gonna go without celery in this one. All right, the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna want to cut and remove the kernels from the cob. Make sure you do this in a bowl, because if you don't, these kernels are going to fly everywhere. So you just want to get down to the base of the cob so that you're getting the entire kernel. And you can see here, all right? So we're going to go ahead and basically take all the corn off of these cobs. Now, normally you would be thinking, I'm gonna throw this cob in the garbage, but do not, okay? This is actually gonna go in your stock pot to make your stock for your corn chowder. It adds extra flavor. There's a lot of flavor, believe it or not, in this cob. So save your cobs. We're going to use it in our stock. So just put it to the side and let's finish getting our corn off the cob. Now, the longest part of this is going to be shucking your corn, getting all the silts out, and then just removing the corn from the cob. That's it. And I just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ears of corn, shucked them, got the silts out, and got all the corn off in less than 20 minutes. So that's the longest part. The rest is just getting everything together. All right, so for this recipe, you are going to need 4 cups of chicken broth. You're going to need 1.5 cups of milk and 1 cup of heavy cream, and that's going to be for your corn stock, along with your used corn cobs. Okay, for the actual corn chowder itself, we are going to use 4 cups of the kernels. Now I've got about 5 cups of kernels, so I'll just have extra corn in it. about 4 ounces of bacon or more if you like more. I like more, so there will be more than 4 ounces of bacon in there. And I'm going to semi-cheat in that I'm going to use the real bacon bits in the store because I don't feel like frying bacon right now. 1 large onion, 1 large carrot, diced up into small pieces, so it should equal about a cup of carrots. 3 stalks of celery normally is in it. I don't have celery, so I'm just going to add some celery. Again, I don't have the celery, so I'm just going to add some celery seasoning in there, and that'll have to do. You want about 1 pound of potatoes, and again, normally people use like Yukon or gold potatoes, but you can really use whatever kind of potato you want in it. I wouldn't say sweet potato, of course, unless you want something really different. But normally like a yellow potato, a gold potato, a red potato, something along that line. You'll need some salt. I prefer to use sea salt or Himalayan salt. Some black pepper, some cayenne pepper, and you can use green onions or chives. And that's basically it. That's all you're going to need to make this recipe, but it's going to be good. Trust me. Alright, so this is my bowl of corn now that it's removed from the cob. And again, here are my used cobs that I'm going to put in my stock pot to enhance the flavor of my stock. Alright, so in my pot I have added the corn cobs that are left over. I have added the chicken broth, the milk, and the heavy cream. You want to bring this slowly up to a boil and let it cook uncovered roughly for about 20 minutes. And then while this is doing its thing, you can start preparing your other vegetables like the carrots and the potatoes. And at the end, we will remove these corn cobs once we've got all the flavor and everything out of them, out of the pot. So let me make sure you are aware, you bring it up to a boil, then you want to turn it down to roughly about medium and cook it for about 20 minutes. You're getting the stock going together, the excess juice from these cobs are coming out and adding some extra flavor. So right now you can see I've got it to where it's just started its rolling boil, and I'm going to turn it down again and cook it for 20 minutes. So while your sauce is cooking, your stock is cooking, get your potatoes diced up and your onions, your carrots, and of course if you had celery, you would add celery in here. Now normally what you would do first before you did this is if you're actually cooking the bacon, then you would cook the bacon in here and then cook this all in the bacon fat to add that flavor. Now I don't feel like cooking bacon, so I'm going to use the store-bought bacon pieces, which are here. These are real bacon pieces. And that's just because I'm in a hurry and I don't feel like frying bacon. So this is I guess a cheat that you could do if you don't feel like frying the bacon. The main thing is going to be because we don't have the bacon grease, is adding something in here. So I'm going to add a flavored oil in here to get this going, and you basically just want to cook this until it gets soft. Now I have added just enough oil in here to just make it where it's not really going to stick. And it'll impart just a tiny bit of flavor into this. I added just a little bit of some roasted garlic oil that I have, extra virgin olive oil, roasted garlic flavor, into the pot. And like I said, just barely enough to coat this, give it some flavor, and make it not stick. All right, after you've given your stock some time to cook, you're going to want to remove the corn cobs from it. Now the corn cobs, it has what I call corn milk. So when you're cooking it in this stock, it's oozing out all of this corn milk from this cob and giving your stock a lot of extra flavor. So you'll just simply want to take these out, set them to the side and let them cool, and then you can just simply throw them in the garbage. Okay, so we're going to start compiling our chowder. So we're going to add in, very gently, your potatoes. And again, add it carefully because your pot is really, really hot. We will add in our corn. And then we're going to add in our onions and carrot mixture. Alright, so I just added the onions and the carrots. I added some salt and some pepper. You could add some garlic. Really, the flavor of the stock now with the seasonings you add is really kind of up to you and what you prefer. But generally salt, pepper, maybe a little bit of garlic. And then you're going to add everything in except for the bacon. Now the bacon, if you actually fried the bacon, you would have set the bacon to the side and used the grease again to cook the onions and the carrots in. The bacon itself is going to be added as a garnish at the end to add that extra flavor. And you'll use green onions and bacon to top it with. You'll also be able to top it with some cheese if you like cheese. So the possibilities are endless, but it's a good way. 8 ears of corn. So 8 ears of corn is going to make a whole pot. So you can pretty much feed a family on this off of 8 ears of corn. Just play with the spices, the salt, the pepper. And like I said, you can add really whatever seasonings you want, but generally salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic is really all you need, and it's really to taste based on how much you like. So now we're going to let this cook until the corn and the potatoes are nice and tender. It will start thickening up some with that cream, and then of course once it's done and when it sets, it's going to be a little bit creamier. And I forgot to mention, for a little extra kick, if you like a little extra kick, some red pepper flakes or cayenne pepper flakes. Now again, we're going to cook this until the potatoes and the corn are tender. So this can range depending on your stove top and how it cooks, anywhere from 45 minutes to about an hour and a half. So play with this recipe, see how it works for you. Some people have shorter cook times and it's come out really well. Others have slow cooked it for about 90 minutes on roughly maybe a little below medium, and just kind of came back and it was perfect. Now some things I will do is add some butter. So there's half a stick of butter right there. I like the flavor that butter gives this. In addition, if at the end of your cook time, in the last 10 minutes, if the stock is not as thick maybe or creamy as you want it to be, simply use some flour or cornstarch, maybe just a couple, like 2 tablespoons, and add some water to it, enough to make it where it's like a thick runny mixture. Add it to your stock here and it's going to help thicken it up. You can also add some masa the same way. Just add a little water to the masa in a cup. Make it you don't want it like thin and runny, you want it thick and runny, and then add it to your pot and it's going to add that extra thickness to your stock. Another tip for thickening and adding flavor is you can add a small, like an 8-ounce can of cream of chicken soup to your mixture, and it's going to add creaminess and that little extra flavor in there as well. Because remember, we did use chicken stock as part of our base, so it's not going to hurt it if you add some cream of chicken in there. It'll make it nice and creamy and thick. Or like I said, you can add the masa or the flour. Now we just let it cook and we wait for all that goodness to come together. It's going to be really good. So stay tuned for our finished product. Look at here. All right, and there you have it, the finished product. Topped with some bacon, some green onion. I added a little cheese. So homemade corn chowder from scratch. Now total time for me from start to finish, from prep till it's time to put it in my mouth, was about an hour and 20 minutes. Took about 20 minutes or so to prep, and then about 45-50 minutes to cook it. If you dice your potatoes thin and small, then it really shouldn't take very long to cook the corn and the potatoes. So enjoy.